Alright, I get it. Kirby Fighters 2 is dead.
But we can make it not dead. After being leaked and then released the next day, many fans had no idea how to think of this game. Its leak and sudden drop never gave us enough time to really dig into it,
So it was inevitable that it would die quick. Plus the lack of content really didn't help.
See this?
Yeah, this is all the content you get.
6 different things to do. Battle mode, online mode, local play mode, story mode, and single-handed mode are all you get to do in this game. The game only has 5 chapters, and all you really have after that is online mode, battle mode, and single-handed mode. Because let's be honest, no one's really going to use local play mode. After beating all 5 chapters and reaching the 50th floor of the final summit, you battle King Dedede and Meta Knight. At the end of every chapter, you'll fight these two, except for the first chapter, which is actually a fake of both of them. The first 4 times you fight these guys are pretty easy, but this one is actually a pretty big challenge and will require a lot of thinking. After beating the both of them, Meta Knight and King Dedede fly off, and Meta Knight's mask actually breaks, but we don't see what's behind it. Dedede throws Meta Knight a different mask and puts on his own, and they hop into the air for the second phase. Now you're fighting the Moon Warriors, Waning Crescent masked Dedede, and Waxing masked Meta Knight. This is actually a pretty funny pun because, you know, Waning Crescent, Waxing Crescent, different phases of the moon. Come on, you guys went to middle school, right? After defeating the Moon Warriors, which is actually a pretty tough challenge, you get the true ending of the game. Of course, I'm not here to explain the entire game to you. I'm here to explain DLC and what I think should come.
Now, do I expect all of this to get in? Absolutely not. There's 4 things I'd like to cover.
Stages, costumes, new modes, and characters.
So for costumes, I wanted to give some to those who didn't have any, like King Dedede, Meta Knight, Magolor, and Bandana D. But I wanted to give one to Kirby real quick.
Whether they pull this from Smash Bros. 64 or Kirby and the Crystal Shards, I just think a costume based on his Nintendo 64 look would be pretty cool. This one actually applies to both King Dedede and Meta Knight. I'd like to see their Waning Crescent and Waxing Crescent outfits fully utilized and put into their costumes.
I know that Masked Dedede is already technically in the game thanks to one of Kirby's hammer costumes, but I feel like this would fit Dedede rather well. And if people still want to complain, we could always use the Shattered Mask and Purple outfit that he uses in Triple Deluxe. The party mask from the ill-received Kirby Battle Royale is really snazzy. I like the top hat, I like the cane, I like the mask. I like everything about this, and I really hope that this gets in. Mecha Knight from Kirby Planet Robobot, but more based on the Kirby Battle Royale costume once again. I really like the sword, I really like the mask, I like everything about this. It's just, I really want this to be in. The clay model from Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, or Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush if you live anywhere else. This is actually a really cool looking costume, and he just looks he looks really cute here, and he looks adorable, and I want him to be my friend. And he is my friend, because he's in Kirby Star Allies, where he can be your friend, and he's my friend, and he loves us, and I love him, and he's great.
Look at this face and tell me you don't want him in Smash. I don't care that it's an umbrella, but it would look really funny, and I think that that's cool, and it fits D very well. The green Magolor costume, or the shop Magolor costume, or just Magolor but in different clothes, I think that this should be in the game. It's literally just a few textures. I don't see why it already isn't there. I already know what you're thinking. But Adam, you can't put Magolor's soul in there. That's a completely different model. I'm not talking about a costume that completely changes the model. I'm talking about the colors that change the texture to Magolor's soul. Make his costume more purple, give him the Master Crown even, or just give him the small little butterfly wings behind him. They don't have to be super extravagant like they are here, but just make him look cooler. Alright, I get it. Green Greens is basically the Kirby equivalent of Green Hill Zone. But come on, you know you want to see this like it was in Smash. Also, almost every stage has a secret remix within it, and I think the secret remix for the stage could be a medley of all the Green Greens themes. Gonna be real with you guys, I actually don't know the full name of this thing, so I'm gonna call it the Mirror Dimension, but the arena in which you fight Dark Meta Knight for the first time, is pretty cool, and I'd like to see it fully realized. It was in Kirby Triple Deluxe as a battle for King Dedede, but we never really saw it again. Maybe the portal would open and you get sent to the different arenas you fight Darkmind in, but other than that, I think that this would be a really cool stage, even if it's only flat. And for the special remix, I feel like it could be a medley of the Darkmind themes that play whenever you're fighting him. It'd be really cool. So similar to Green Greens, Halberd is a stage in Smash Brothers, but I don't think it should take a lot from that, but rather the escape. Maybe Meta Knight will swing in and attack the player with some of the moves he has, like he'll spawn his wings, he'll fly around, he'll dive with his sword, he'll summon electric balls.
There's a lot that he could do, and I think that this stage has a lot of potential, especially with the secret remix, which could be a lot of things. It could be the Meta Knight medley, it could even be the Escape from Halberd theme, who knows, but anything would be good.
I've shown my love and appreciation for Kirby Star Allies a few too many times, so I didn't want to put too many stages from that game in here. I feel like having the Void Termina battlefield in this game would be pretty cool. I don't know how they do it, but this is just one of those I don't care how they do it, I just want it in there sort of deals. So, you know, to make it happen.
Remember what I said earlier about these being the only modes we had? That's a problem. My biggest issue that has been with the game since the beginning is the fact that there isn't a boss rush mode. Like, what if I don't want to fight Twin Woods, then Dual Edge, and then King Dedede and Meta Knight? Maybe instead of the old Rivals version, I want to fight the Sworn Partners version. Maybe I want to fight Twin Woods, then Shadow Kirby, then the Moon Warriors, King Dedede, and Meta Knight. Just give me an option to make a choice. Do something similar to the single-handed mode where you have a set difficulty and depending on which one you fight, depends on which set of tower bosses you'll battle. With Easy, just make us fight Twin Woods, then Duo Edge, and then King Dedede and Meta Knight. The next difficulty could be the second phase tower bosses. I don't know. It's up to the creators, honestly. Just give me an option to choose which boss I fight instead of making me climb 50 levels to fight the Moon Warriors. Also, make training mode a lot more expansive. Give me an option to pick which stage I want to fight on and which items will spawn. Because without it, there's not a whole lot I can do, because story mode and single-handed mode still cause items to spawn, and that's a problem. Here's the part everyone is more than likely excited to see.
First up is Mirror Kirby. With his wand, he can spawn reflective shields to send projectiles back at enemies.
He can also summon multiple versions of himself to either start multi-hit attacks or even summon two of himself to get them up in the air to start a combo. Similar to Beam Kirby, he could probably jump into the air and send down a bunch of little mirror shards in order to attack the players. Or even make a little reference to Dark Meta Knight and just, you know, summon a mirror and attack them with that. All I ask is just put it in. It doesn't have to be edited at all. Just put it in. That top hat is too snazzy to be left in 2 games. Kirby looks fantastic with that hat on, and he should be in 3D. I don't even know why this ability isn't in the game from the get-go. Fire has been a staple for every single game ever, and yet somehow it still isn't in Fighters 2. I feel like they were gonna have this in, but due to the theory that the game was rushed or due to the leak, I feel like it was supposed to be in the game, but was cut because it was unfinished. But even then, that doesn't make sense, because Fire is one of the most recognizable Kirby abilities out there, yet it wasn't in the game from the get-go. This is a similar argument I have with the next few abilities. It doesn't make sense as to why these aren't in the game, but they've been in almost every single Kirby game since the beginning. Hell, some of these are some of people's most favorite iconic Kirby abilities out there. Like, if I asked you, what's a red copy ability from Kirby, and you said Fire, you'd be right because that's red, not only that, but that would mean that it's well known even by color. That doesn't make sense to not include it in one of Kirby's first fighting games. This is another case of what the f***, Nintendo, why isn't this in the game? Similar to Fire, this ability has been around since the very beginning, but isn't in a fighting game where a lot of abilities should be here because they make sense. It'd be just like Fire, you just breathe on enemies and they freeze, or they'll get cold, or they'll take damage, and then you could have projectile attacks because, you know, every ability deserves a projectile attack. You could create an ice cube and shoot it at enemies, or whatever you inhale enemies, you shoot them out as an ice cube.
Maybe he has an aerial attack where if you're up in the air and you use down B, you'll send down an icicle and it'll attack enemies below. Or even make the ice, make the floor ice and it'll hurt them if they stand on it. There are so many things that this ability could do, but I feel like the leak and the early release is what caused it to be unrealized and not put in the game.
Leaf has been with the series since Return to Dreamland, and I don't believe it's left since, so it doesn't make any sense to me as to why it's not in the fighting game. It's odd. Like, come on, Hal, you're gonna put in Yo-Yo, which disappeared for years only to return in Star Allies, but you can't put in Leaf, which made an appearance back in 2010. These past 3 copy abilities prove that the theory that the game was released far too early because of the leak, and thus a lot of content was cut because of that leak. Another point is, why does the trailer for the demo not say footage not final, and why was the demo not released the same day the game came out? This is extremely suspicious, and I believe that Hal was not ready for this game to be released.
Yes, I prefer to Spark as Spark. It's not Plasma here, it's Spark. Spark would look very similar to the way it does in mainline Kirby games. You'd move around and you'd send a ball of electricity. If you jump into the air, you can send a ball of electricity straight down. There's not very much to say beyond that. Maybe they could give him some original moves instead of, just being spammed to win, because in games like Triple Deluxe and Robobot, you're going to be obliterating bosses no problem.
Do you know what I see here? I see a top hat. And when I see a top hat, I realize that that is a top tier ability. Spider Kirby originated in Kirby Star Allies, and it's a pretty freaking good ability. It leaves behind a hitbox that will constantly attack enemies. You can shoot, arrows straight upward. You can shield yourself and counter, which is something that Bell does, which is overpowered in the game. There's a lot of things you could do with Spider, and it's freaking amazing. Maybe instead of a friend jump, you could have something like a hurt jump, where instead of jumping on the web to go higher, you jump on it, you take damage. It'll disappear after someone jumps on it once, but it would be pretty cool to see. Let's start off with a fan favorite, Marx from Kirby Superstar. After making his first playable appearance in Kirby Star Allies as a Dream Friend, he's back and better than ever. Sort of. You see, Marx isn't playable in Kirby Fighters 2, so we're gonna put him in, but only kinda. There are several things he could pull from both Superstar and Star Allies. A problem is that some of Marx's more well-known moves are locked behind the ability fusion in Star Allies. The Rising Roses aren't possible without the Water ability, and the Lightning Needles aren't possible without Spark. I think an easy workaround is to replace some of these more original moves from Star Allies with more iconic moves. I won't dwell on costumes for too long, but I'll explain some of the costumes. With Marx, he could pull colors from his Soul form, or even Magolor, since Magolor seems to be heavily influenced by both the character and the design of Marx. The Animal Buddies, similar to Marx, had disappeared for a long time and got a comeback with Kirby Star Allies as a group of Dream Friends. My biggest gripe with these characters was that you couldn't swap between them on your own. I feel like now would be a great time to finally fix that, and allow them to simply swap with each other by putting in down B. You would go from Rick to Ku, Ku to Kine, and Kine to Rick. Along with that, I feel like they could benefit from what we did with Marx. Some moves that were original to Kirby Star Allies could be replaced with moves that are more iconic. Like maybe Ku could attack with his claws. For costumes, they could use the color schemes of other animal friends. Rick could use Nago, Ku could use Pitch, and Kine could use Choo Choo. Yet again, DeRoach is a character that went poof for a few years, but was brought back thanks to Kirby Star Allies. Over those years of absence, I've seen fans clamoring to get our Mouseketeer back into the spotlight. For his main weapon, I'd give him the Triple Star, since he hardly used it in Star Allies, and the different members of the elusive Squeak Squad could still be a part of his moveset. But make it similar to how Artist does it for the drawings of DDD, Meta Knight, and Bandana D, and Kirby. For some costumes, I'd give him Dark DeRoach as one, and maybe the color scheme of Necrotius, since he was in the same game. I really like the design of Dark Meta Knight. It looks really cool, and the torn wings are a great detail, and the broken mask shows that he isn't as strong as the real Meta Knight, as he's been getting into a lot of scuffles. He's merely a copy. Anyway, I think his moveset would be roughly the same from Star Allies, but I want to change a few things. I don't think we can let him summon overpowered swords from the ground. The game is already unbalanced enough, and I feel like adding that would just tear the game in two. I'd change something, less broken. Like, he could split in two of himself and would slash in front of him once or twice. For a costume, there's a lot we could do. Maybe have a color scheme similar to the Knight of the Meta Variation. Give him King Darkmind. It may be King D-Mind. Who knows? The Killer Secretary robot thing from outer space. Has it been confirmed what she is? It has? Oh, okay. Made her first appearance in the 3DS title Kirby Planet Robobot, and has made several other appearances here and there. Her parallel form was a boss battle in Kirby Clash Deluxe and Super Kirby Clash. Did you know that one of her battles in Super Kirby Clash implies that she took over Haltman Incorporated? Yeah, apparently it does. I don't know whether she, killed him, or maybe he died of natural causes and she took over, but the boss battle is literally President Susie. That is weird. Anyway, I don't think we should have her roam on foot, even though she doesn't seem to have any, but rather, she's always in her mech. This allows for a less complex moveset that the game seems to be going for. Since she can't fuse with other abilities, some of her more prominent moves can replace some moves that aren't what you'd normally see. For costumes, she could use her parallel mech and suit, and maybe even the President mech and suit. Maybe for another, she could wear some of President Haltman's equipment, like his suit and glasses. We covered Spider earlier, and in Star Allies, Taranza is pretty similar to Spider, so we're gonna have to fix that. He uses a lot of webs in Star Allies, despite only having used them sometimes. So instead, we're gonna let him use the different bosses in Kirby Triple Deluxe. Maybe for his forward attack, he can summon the Coily Rattler and send him a short distance, or summon diamonds similar to his form seen in Super Kirby Clash. I feel like our boy did dirty in Star Allies, so I really want to do him justice. Costumes are pretty easy. They could use the color scheme for Sectonia on his move in Super Kirby Clash. Maybe King D-Mind, since he's the one who summons him, but that's a bit of a stretch. Kinda want to save King D-Mind for Dark Meta Knight. So apparently Highness was actually in the code for Kirby Star Allies as a Dream Friend, but was never actually put into the game. I could be totally wrong here, but that's what I've heard, seen, and read. With his failed plan at releasing the Dark Lord and destroying everything, Highness seems to be a good guy now, but that's for the potential future to tell. His moveset would be pretty simple. He's never actually been in a playable role yet, so they could probably just take the boss from the Star Allies and make it a little easier, Maybe instead of a friend circle, he could use something that's a dash forward, similar to Magolor. Maybe he could summon spikes that were in the Dark Heart whenever we were fighting Highness. Honestly, Highness hasn't had a playable role yet, so it's kind of hard to judge what he should and shouldn't use, but I feel like they can make it work. For costumes, he could use the parallel Highness that had his hood on, and the one where he doesn't, and maybe he could have an alt where, it's Highness but without the hood, similar to parallel Highness. The Prince of Fluff, it's Prince Fluff, despite the fact he's made out of yarn. They really did not think that one through, did they? This little dude has only appeared in one game and has been forgotten since, though the work of fans has kept his memory alive. So many fantastic fan art has sprung from fans who want to see the prince in the spotlight he once had, and today we're gonna finally give it to him. He could play with this string attack, working similar to Whip, but having his own original moves. Maybe he could use the different transformations that were in Kirby's Epic Yarn, but of course, the massive tank really couldn't be used. But somehow they could probably work it into usability. They've done some pretty cool things with the series before, so this isn't out of the realm of possibility. His grab could use that yarn whip I was talking about earlier, or maybe he could just grab them with his bare hands. It's pretty funny. Maybe he could use those yarn sticks the villain used. I really don't remember the name. Costumes would be pretty simple. Maybe he could use the color scheme of the different tenants at the hotel Kirby and the prince take care of. Or maybe even the villain's color scheme. I just want this little dude back in the spotlight, man. Come on, that game was so good, and the shitty 3DS port probably killed any chance at him getting back into the spotlight. God, Galactonite is one tough cookie to crack. While he's appeared in several canon games, he's never appeared in canon modes. He's either in the side games or the true arena. The fans have been debating for years whether this canon is true or it's dud. And I think it's canon. Galactonite may not have appeared in the canon modes, but within the canon games, I feel like it's true. I think he's canon. Anyway, a playable Galactonite would be really cool. We've seen him as a boss in so many games, and while they are really hard, they're really fun, in my opinion. I don't think we could give him overpowered moves though, so maybe that's why they aren't putting him in a game, because it wouldn't really be the strongest warrior in the galaxy if it didn't have the strongest moves in the galaxy. But maybe give him some of Morpho Knight's moves. Speaking of Morpho Knight, maybe he could be a costume? Technically speaking, Galactonite is Morpho Knight, and honestly, I really think that Meta Knight should have had the Morpho Knight design, since Morpho Knight is actually Beta Meta Knight. That's crazy. Maybe he could use the Aeon Hero Light and Aeon Hero Dark outfits that are seen in Super Kirby Clash. And just like that, we've reached the end. 9 costumes, 4 stages, a new mode, 7 new abilities, and 9 buddies later, we did it. It would be 10, but I realized that wouldn't really work out. Sadly, the Mage Sisters are not only costumes, but are prominent stage hazards. I'm sorry, but no Mage Sisters today. Man. Wait a minute. King DDD is a boss, and also a stage hazard, and his masked DDD form is a costume. And you could play as him in the boss and stage hazards. If you even thought for a second I wasn't gonna find an excuse to talk about these characters, you are 100% wrong! They were fun as hell to play as in Kirby Star Allies, and goddammit, I want them in this game too. You mean to tell me that Gooey of all characters got in, but the main villain of the previous game did not? What kind of bullshit is that? I demand retribution for my fall as a societal norm. I had to fight these 3 on my own, no buddies at all. I demand retribution by having these characters in the game. I mean, what's it gotta take? Do I gotta cut off a limb? I probably won't do it, but I mean, if I was in the moment, I probably would. Do I gotta beat the entire game without taking a single point of damage? I'll do it. Now, come on, man. Whether it be Smash Brothers, Kirby Fighters 2, both, give me a challenge. I'll do it. I'll do almost anything to get them in there. Nintendo, Hal, whoever I gotta talk to, shoot me an email. Shoot me a DM on Twitter, or shoot me a DM on Discord by joining the Discord server link in the description below. Tell me in the comments, literally anything. What do I have to do? I'm sure we can come to a mutual agreement on, getting my favorite characters in the world in this game. That'd be pretty PogChamp. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord server, and I will see you all in the next video. Get these guys in Smash!